How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bowhunt or Die as the season grows ever closer. Unfortunately, Todd is not here today. I honestly have no idea where he is or what he's doing. So yeah, I mean, hopefully he's alive out there somewhere, but I don't really know. But in any case, we had to film because we got an episode and the show must go on. So this week we are doing some food plot work with Tyler Rector, the farmer, and Dean Krueger up in Wisconsin. So I'm going to stop talking. Let's jump into their segments right now.
Well, hey everybody, it's a hot July day. It's the 21st of July, about noon. Gonna go trim up a tree stand. I got a new saw that I just bought. It's a DeWalt battery powered saw. I'm gonna chainsaw, pull saw, whatever you're gonna call it. I'm gonna try it out. I've also got my my special chemical in the back, which is just basically 2,4-D and Roundup and a little bit of crop oil. I'm gonna spray in front of a bunch of my trees that I put cameras on, and spray the scrapes where I usually make mock scrapes. I spray them this time of year so that they are weed free come September when the deer really start hitting them hard. So I'm gonna do that, run around the farm a little bit, and go from there. So we're just gonna drive the Gator from home, like 5 miles down the road. All right, guys, well, we're at the farm here. We're actually at the stand location where I shot my buck last year on November 1st or 2nd, I think. But I put a camera right here on this fence post behind me, facing this, it's like an overhanging branch on this food plot. It's gonna be a fall green food plot here going into the standing corn and soybeans. And last year I had this buck walk right underneath of me, I don't know, 5 yards from the tree, and I couldn't get a shot because I have this tree basically for cover, and it's so thick that I'm gonna have to trim it up because I couldn't even get a shot until the deer got way out here at like 30 yards. So brought my pole saw. I'm gonna trim up that tree right there. Probably put a camera on that fence post, spray around this little area here, kill these weeds, and probably won't come back until almost deer season. So give it a little time to rest. Well, I gotta come back and plant this food plot, I guess. So that'll be probably whenever it dries up. It's muddy right now from all the rain, but come back and replant it. And something, turnips, probably, maybe a little winter wheat, and go from there. So. All right, well, I just got done with trimming up this stand. Got it wide open now, so shouldn't have any problem shooting a deer at 5 yards. Well, it's August 3rd, food plot day. We got the brilliant all loaded up on the tractor. On the trailer, we got probably 15 acres of turnips, radishes, fall food plots to plant, so we're gonna get after it. This morning, probably work all day. I got a fertilizer buggy coming, so I can get everything fertilized, seeded, and hopefully get some rain. So let's go. Well, guys, just got this first food plot of the year done. What this is going to be basically is I did about 20 foot of Whitetail Institute clover all the way around this entire 2 acres of standing corn I'm going to leave, and then the rest of it I went over with some Antler King honey hole. Give me kind of a variety. I'm going to have clover mixed with some brassicas and turnips, and then standing corn. And then what I did right in front of the stand, so the tree is right here, And basically from here, this will probably be a scrape, I'm assuming, from here all the way in probably 40 yards, maybe 50 yards from the stand. In my shooting window, I have oats and soybeans that I broadcast, as you can see in the video, and then I just packed them in with this Brilliant. And what that does is the soybeans get about this tall, probably before October. So early season, the deer just pound them. So I'm hoping that if there's a big buck in this area, that it will come into these beans on a pretty regular basis, and maybe I can get lucky. That's how I shot Machete back in, I think it was 2014. This actual tree stand here is where I shot Zeus years ago. And he was out here. This was a clover alfalfa plot at the time. And I've kind of just been mixing it up the last couple years to try to get it back to clover and alfalfa, do a little crop rotation. So didn't even hunt this farm last year, not one time. And just didn't have any big enough deer that I wanted to chase on here. And it's right next to Outfitters ground, so this ground's all leased right here. Pretty much I'm just in a corner. That's all I got to hunt right here. And so hopefully they don't pressure it too much, but they normally do. They're not like a, I guess I wouldn't call them a game management outfitter. They are basically, you shoot whatever you want. So really the last few years the deer numbers have just kind of plummeted right here in this area. So just didn't even hunt it last year. But we're going to come back and fertilize this afternoon. Kind of did it backwards, but it's supposed to be raining. So I wanted to get some seed in the ground. I can always fertilize it later if it rains me out, but going to try to fertilize it today, and then probably just roll that in one more time with this packer and keep on moving. So let's go. All right, guys, well, we're getting ready to spread some fertilizer here. Got the buggy on the back full of potash, DAP, and urea, and I'm putting on about 100 pounds of each, so 300 pounds the acre. Ought to be good enough for fall food plots. So got a lot to do. It's starting to rain, and this stuff will turn into liquid mush in the tank, so I'm gonna get after it. Well, here we are. It's August 4th. Got Claire with me today, my oldest daughter, and we're going to try to knock out some food plots. I've been doing it the last couple of days, getting fertilizer spread, getting some dirt work done, and got the seeder hooked up now. We're going to go ahead and start working on fall food plots. We got roughly about 15 acres scattered over like 11 different farms to plant, so we're going to be running around all night, or all day, I guess, trying to get some stuff done. So perfect weather, beautiful outside. It's like 75 degrees, sunny. Dirt's got some moisture to it, not too dry, not too wet. Just really fortunate this year. So hopefully we can get all the seed in the ground and wait for deer season. So you got anything to add? You want to say anything? No. She wanted to work with me today, so that's what we're doing, right?
Right.
All right. Okay, what are we doing, Claire?
We're putting deer seed down.
Deer seed. Yep.
Deer seed.
So the deer can eat it.
Yeah, so the deer can eat it.
Yeah, like a big garden.
Yeah.
A deer garden. That's what we'll call it.
Deer garden.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the stand where I shot my buck last year, right there. In November, I've trimmed it up. This is the tree I pretty much went Chuck Norris on there a couple weeks ago. Got this food plot all prepped, ready to go. Did fertilizer yesterday.
Right here?
And got the seeder on. I'm going to go ahead and pack this down good. And I'm going to seed Imperial Whitetail Destination. It's a variety of peas and oats and rape, turnips. Yeah, I shot a deer right there last year, honey. And give me something nice and green for this fall to hunt over. So
There's a picture on the fridge when you shot it.
there's a picture of me on the fridge with it. Basically, this food plot is going to be this seed right here. Got your winter peas, looks like some oats, maybe some wheat. So here's the seed we're going to be planting. Like a winter pea, oat, brassica, winter wheat kind of mix. Well, good afternoon, guys. August 4th. I just dropped Claire off at home. We've been doing food plots all morning, all afternoon.
You don't have any events on your calendar for today.
Really? Okay, thanks, Watch. Anyway, what I'm going to do here is I got this probably acre food plot that butts up into my miscanthus, as you can see behind me. This is my access point from where I parked my truck right up there, 150 yards away. And walk right in here, slip in, stand, never get busted or detected or anything. So what I got going on, I got a hay bale, kind of a makeshift blind over there in the corner. 4 round bales. I'm going to probably pop up a blind inside or just put a roof on it and sit in it, kind of without a blind situation. And over there on that half of the plot, I'm actually going to put this this destination plot. It's kind of oats and turnips and winter peas mix. Hopefully those deer really want to hit it a little more than the turnips early, and then the rest of it's going to be all winter greens, turnips, purple top turnips, and kale. So I'm going to get after it. I'm going to broadcast this with the hand seeder and then just roll it in with my seeder here. Since it's got a bunch of different types of seed in it, it doesn't do a very good job in this seeder with all the different sizes. So I'm going to hand spread it, get good coverage, and got one big deer on this farm that I really want to try to hunt this year. He was here a little bit last year during the rut and then late season, and he had actually dropped aside pretty early, but got a picture of him the other day on this farm on the other side. So hopefully he sticks around come October. We'll see. He's pretty big, so let's get to work.
All right, everyone. It's mid-June, and took a day of vacation today, and I'm going out to my property. Been doing a lot of work out there. Haven't filmed much of any of it. Working on the food plots. Close my garage door here. Working on the food plots. We've had, the weather's been beautiful. It's been 80s. Actually, it was really warm yesterday, 87 degrees yesterday. But I've been working up the land, you know, sprayed herbicides, killing stuff out, working it up with just with the UTV with the little groundhog max, and then going over it with a harrow and cultipacker and all that good stuff. So been putting a lot of time in, especially after work on the evenings, and one more step towards making it better for this fall. Hopefully give the kids and myself an opportunity. And we killed that one big buck last year that I shot on November 15th, and kind of did what I was thinking he'd do, and didn't read the script exactly, but he came right underneath the stand, but he ended up coming around the tree and giving me a shot. So we know there's some big ones around from last year, a lot of good ones coming up and comers, and just doing what we can, putting the work in to increase our odds. So invested some time and money in planting trees this spring too. We planted a couple hundred white spruce mainly up along the road here. Someday kind of close it in. So I got this seated along the road. I'm gonna go down just another 50 yards here or so, and I'm gonna have another almost like a barrier down the hill here, so where I walk into the one of the tree stands that they can't see me when they're on the other food plot. So here we go. Okay, how the setup is here is this is where I shot my second turkey, where I was up on the hill that morning, and I moved the blind down on the bottom of the hill. I don't know, I just came up with a brainstorm last night that I put the blind in last year. Put my coffee down here. I've got a small soft side tower blind that I had in on the south side of this plot last year, and it's on the episode, I gotta think here, on the episode where I shot my buck in Minnesota, where I had my son Karsten in here, and we sat and we had that doe and that buck come across that field. But last year was kind of a learning experience, first time hunting this property in well over 20 years, and a lot of deer would come out, they're always facing us over here. So what I did this earlier this year, my son Karsten and I came in and we moved that soft side tower blind back there, which is on the west side. It's going to work, I think, a little bit better for a few things. It's going to work a little bit better with the winds. It seemed like even on a north wind or westerly wind, there's a hill back up behind the blind over here, and I think it was swirling, and once in a while the deer would catch us. So what I did was I moved it back on that side, and I wanted to purposely put it back a little bit further because of how the deer travel from the east here. And what that did was it made it probably, I'm guessing, I haven't ranged it here, but from where I'm standing to that blind is it's a good 40 yards, if not a little bit better, 40, 45, which if I don't have to shoot that far, I won't. But especially now with the kids, because the kids are starting to hunt with a bow. Kylie did, this spring, and she wants to hunt with one this fall, and Carson might be hunting with one this fall. So I wanted to create like a little bit of a pinch point here. There's a scrape tree. So what I did is I made, you can see a triangular pattern here. And what I'm going to do is plant that plot screen that comes out, and it kind of creates a little bit of a point here. I hope I don't have it too tight, so then it creates like almost like an hourglass shape. Right here at this overhanging branch is where I've had numerous bucks last year. I put a mock scrape in here, and I had all three of the big mature bucks that were on the property or crossing the property were on this scrape. So, and that's 18-20 yards from the blind. So again, gonna plant this. Got a little work to do here. I'm gonna rake it in first, and then I'm gonna plant it, and then like I say, kind of create, if the deer are coming like they always did last year and they're working out to this food plot, they got to kind of come around the end of it, offering us a shot. And same thing when they come down the hill up here behind me where the Rangers parked. They come down, rather than cutting it short, making it a 40-45 yard shot, they got to come down around the bottom of it. I mean, they can go through it or go around the backside, but they're creatures of habit. They like to follow edges. So gonna try it, see if it works, and I guess we won't know till this fall. So I'm gonna get back to work here and put some seed in the ground and get it going. I'm down on the plot where I killed my first turkey, and right on the corner here. But what I did was I mowed this path right here and opened this up. And then right down here, this was always just a lane that we had when we walked in, but once in a while we come in here, we'd be spooking deer. They like to lay along this. There's a little swamp hole right here, and then the big marsh is off to the west. What I'm gonna do is, got this all tilled up, worked up. I'm gonna seed it, and I'm gonna seed it a little bit to the east here, kind of create a barrier, try to funnel them down through here. Right here's where I had the blind when I shot that first turkey, right out here in the plot, and actually those toms came right behind the blind, right on the lane here. So as you can see, I'm gonna have plot screen all the way down the plot here. Again, I've got a couple stands back to the north a little bit, and when we'd walk in last year, once in a while we'd be jumping deer out here. There too, there's a bunch of windfalls, trees that are down along the marsh. The marsh is right there, you know what, 60 yards, 70 yards, and they like to lay in there. So not only am I going to put a plot screen along that side of the food plot, I'm going to run it right up here to where the ranger is sitting. And as you can see, I'll be planting probably an annual in here, whereas obviously I got the perennials, the clover out here in front. But same thing, I got a soft side tower blind that I bought, you know, to have the kids in, and I'm going to put plot screen along the front of the blind all the way along there, and then along the marsh here, because again, a lot of times they'd be bedding right along there. Most of the time I think it was does, but there too, you start bumping deer, you know, it just makes your odds a little bit less. Guys, well, a little bit of work. It is 7:45, so I guess roughly 2 hours. You know, just the plant. Then I dragged it, and then I rolled it with a cultipacker. You know, here too. I'm learning as it comes to food plotting. You know, last year was my first year actually putting plots in, and had some success with just, you know, what I was doing and trying. It's kind of experimental too, you know. It's you don't know unless you try it. And this year picked up a cultipacker, went in with some family members and a friend, you know, all chipped in. So all this stuff costs quite a bit of money. So, you know, we chipped in. They got the land 40 acres down the road here, so we're starting to get the right things that we need just to get us by and be able to put, you know, food in the ground for the deer. And today was more or less plot screens to close it in a little bit, and maybe a sense of security for the deer, and for us to get in and out of the stands a little bit better. So 2 hours of work. It's still early in the morning, got the rest of the day off, and I'm gonna enjoy it. So that's a little bit what I've been up to. Actually, a lot of what I've been up to in the last probably month of doing all this, of spraying and tilling it up, and now today's work. So that's it. We'll see what happens. Now from here, the only other thing that I have to do is I'll have to obviously mow the plots. I mowed them once already, and try to control the weeds. They're getting up pretty tall again, so I'll have to mow the plots, and then from there, it's a matter of, it's mid-June now. I'll probably wait till a little bit like late July, late summer, going into early fall to plant some annuals. So I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do there, and that's where I'll plant, you know, here in front of the one blind here, and up along the edge and down to the north there. And more work to be done this summer, and hopefully it all pays off this fall. So see ya, and have a fun and safe summer, guys.
Well, Tyler's food plots look amazing as always. I guess that's the benefit of being a farmer and doing this for a living. You know exactly what you're supposed to do. And as we all know, Tyler kills a lot of deer in food plots. So it'll be exciting to see what shows up come this fall. You know, as for Dean, it's been really cool to watch along in his journey as a new property owner, just to see how he's figuring it out, what food he's planting, kind of the thought process behind exactly what he's doing. So I'm also excited to follow along with Dean's season, see what happens up there in Wisconsin. Yeah, I think their season starts like a month from today. I think today is the 12th as we're recording this. So in 1 month, Dean will be hunting, which is completely insane that it's already here. But great couple of segments from those guys. Next up, we're going to jump into the Ask the Experts section, brought to you by the folks over at Lancaster Archery. This is actually a great question this week because this is something that I once wondered as a young archer, and I've had a lot of people ask me over the years. So the question comes from Jerry Zarnowski, who says, my sight does not line up with my arrow while on the rest. My pins are off to the left, yet the bow still shoots great. Field points and broadheads. Can you tell me why this is happening? Yes, we can tell you why this is happening, but I'm going to turn it over to the resident archery expert, Mr. PJ Riley, and he will give you the answer to your question.
Hey guys, we got a great question today from a bow hunter who set up his bow, set up his sight, and then he happened to look and noticed that his pins were to the left of the arrow shaft. In other words, as he looked down the arrow shaft, lined up with the string, he noticed that his pins were not centered directly over the arrow, right-handed shooter. And that's normal. That's what it should look like. As you can see here, this is my bow set up. It is perfectly tuned, and you will notice that my pin heads are sitting on the left side of the arrow shaft. Now, I don't know how much the viewer's pins are sitting to the left. What we want to make sure is that your bow is tuned properly. Make sure you paper tune it so that you're getting a perfect bullet hole. You know your arrow's coming out straight. Then sight in your pins. And if you look down the shaft, as we said, and you can see here, your pins will be sitting a little bit to the left of your shaft for a right-handed shooter. Left-handed shooter, you're going to be on the right-hand side. For a right-handed shooter, it is perfectly normal for your pins to be sitting a little bit to the left of your arrow shaft and of your bowstring.
Well, thank you to PJ for that answer. That is a question, like I said, that I once had as a young archer. I would line up my string and my arrow and I would look at it and I'd be like, why are my pins off to the left? This doesn't seem to make sense to me. But yes, it is perfectly fine and a normal thing for a right-handed shooter. So thank you to PJ once again. Everybody, next up, we're going to jump into the trophy photos a la trail camera photos of big bucks. So let's take a look at those next. Brian Kleinbrell, Jake Beery, Kurt Frey, Charlie Herrick, James Webb, and Seth Critcher. Well, thank you to everybody who submitted their trail camera photos for this week's episode. This was a tough one. There was a couple good photos in here, but I am going with Brian Kleinbrell, or Kleinbrell. I don't know how to say it. Brian, you are the winner. That is a heck of a good deer. I picked it just because it's a nice big buck and he's a big 10-pointer. I love those profile shots. So congratulations to Brian. Make sure you get your information over to us so we can get you your HS and Buck Bomb prize pack sent out to you. That is it for today's episode. Guys, make sure you stay tuned because next week we've got a video coming that I'm sure you are all going to love. We're going to talk crossbow versus compound bow and let you guys know what we think. So make sure you tune in next week for that video. Also next week, I will not be here. I will be in Wyoming, hopefully shooting an antelope. So I will bring you some live updates from the field during that hunt. So make sure you check all the socials starting next week. Hopefully I can be the first team member to put down a big game animal for the fall season. So that's it for today. Hope you guys are staying safe out there and looking forward to the upcoming season. Bowhunter Die, baby.
So what were you saying?
I said this was my first year doing the deer garden thing.
This is your first year doing the deer garden thing?
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.